To everyone else, Jerry was the slightly socially awkward, but otherwise friendly, goofy, and genuine dude. The kind of guy who just seemed harmless and made you want to root for him with the sense of vulnerability he seemed to give off. To me, though, something about him always felt off, like the awkward jokes and shy anxiety weren't actually him being himself, so much as he was performing a version of himself he thought we wanted to see. I can't explain it, but I've always been good at reading people, and from the very first day I met him, something deep down in my gut told me he wasn't who he pretended to be. It was the second week of freshman year in college. Our entire friend group was basically stitched together randomly. Roommates, guys who happened to sit near each other in the dining hall, guys who just happened to all laugh at the same stupid joke. We were all new, bright-eyed, and stupidly excited to finally be in college and living independently for the first time ever. We were boys playing pretend at adulthood, learning how to drink cheap liquor and act like it didn't burn. But we became really close, really quickly. I actually got along with all of them really well. Except Jerry. Jerry was the last one to join the group. Tall, lanky, with big goofy ears. He constantly slouched with the apologetic posture of someone who'd spent his entire life trying not to take up space. At least, that's how he acted. Everyone else loved him. They said he was quirky and wholesome, but the longer I knew him, the more something about him felt rehearsed. His awkward chuckle always landed half a second too late. His stutter felt deliberate, like he was choosing which syllables to trip over. Even the way he pushed his glasses up his nose looked like he'd practiced it in the mirror and was waiting for applause. Everyone else bought it. I didn't, but I swallowed that feeling because I didn't want to be the asshole who creates drama in a brand new friend group. Around early November, Jerry invited all of us to spend Thanksgiving break at his family's place upstate. "It's a little far from campus," he said, "but it's a big, beautiful property with a lot of stuff to do. My family would love to have you guys. We always do a huge Friendsgiving. It'd mean a lot." I immediately said, "No." Something in my gut reacted so violently to the idea that I actually blurted it out before thinking, but everyone else jumped on the invitation. They teased me, pressured me, said it'd be rude not to go, said it'd be a blast. I eventually caved. I wish to God I hadn't. We left the city 2 days before Thanksgiving, crammed into 2 cars. As the buildings thinned out and the scenery turned into endless forest, I felt this restless twisting in my stomach. Jerry had given us vague directions. "GPS stops working near my town, but don't worry, I'll just tell you when to turn." That alone made me uneasy. But when we finally arrived, all of those subtle alarm bells in my head started roaring. His house wasn't a house. It was an old colonial estate, massive and sagging, and surrounded by acres of dark, silent property. It looked like something ripped straight from a true crime documentary. The windows were tall and narrow. The wood paneling was chipped and water damaged. The entire place sat crooked on its foundation, like it had been waiting centuries to finally collapse. Jerry's family, his parents, his aunt, his younger cousins, stood on the massive rotting wooden porch as we drove up, waving a little too forcefully, smiling a little too wide, From the very first moment I noticed it, the same odd false friendliness Jerry had. I can't even explain it. It all just felt staged. Their laughs came out in short, awkward bursts, like they were checking boxes on a script. They stared too long and stood a little too close to us. No one else noticed, but I did. We spent the first day doing typical autumn things. We took a hike through Jerry's backyard trails, picked apples at an orchard on the massive property, took photos with the leaves, which his mother kept insisting we pose for, but the whole time I couldn't stop feeling that there was something off about this whole thing. Every time I looked over my shoulder, some relative of Jerry's was already watching me, smiling with that stretched, artificial grin that never reached their eyes. And every so often, when they weren't paying attention, I'd catch a flicker of something raw in their stare, a kind of feral eagerness, like how a dog stares at a slab of meat. But everyone else seemed to be having a blast, laughing, joking, oblivious, and as uncomfortable as I felt around Jerry's family, I couldn't find the words to speak up and ruin the mood. Even if I had, I doubt any of them would have believed me. I could already imagine their responses. "You're overthinking. Dude, relax. It's fine. They've been so kind and hospitable. Show some appreciation." My biggest regret is not having the courage to ignore it all and advocate for myself at that moment when I still had the chance. Eventually, dinner time rolled around. We all sat down around a huge, decadent, perfectly arranged table, the kind you only ever see in magazines, full of warm lighting, expensive silverware, and elaborate dishes. Jerry's mom had cooked everything from scratch: stuffing, roasted vegetables, pies cooling on the counter. The air smelled strange, sweet, smoky, but with a hint of something weird underneath it all. Was it metallic? It was faint, so I wasn't quite sure. I tried to tell myself I was imagining it, that I was just anxious, but even as I picked up my fork, a heaviness settled in my chest, the kind you feel right before something terrible happens. The moment the food hit my tongue, I knew something was wrong. I still couldn't quite place the taste. Metallic, bitter, off, it didn't matter. My instincts screamed that there was something wrong with the food I had just put in my body. I excused myself, pretending to feel nauseous. Jerry's mom tried to insist I take medicine. I lied, said I just needed a minute. I locked myself in the bathroom and immediately shoved a finger down my throat, forcing myself to throw up everything I had eaten. The second it was out of me, I felt this bizarre relief, a sort of certainty that something terrible had almost happened. I sat on the cold tile for 20 minutes, trying to breathe, trying to figure out whether what I was feeling was real or if I was just going crazy. Maybe the food was just undercooked. Maybe the spices were weird. Maybe I needed sleep. That was when I realized something. The house had gone silent, a house full of people, mid-dinner, laughing hysterically just moments before, now completely dead quiet. I crawled to the door and pressed my ear against it. Nothing, not even the clink of a fork. Before I jumped. The door rattled on its hinges. Jerry's voice came through, sounding casual at first.
"Hey man, you okay in there? You've been gone a while."
"I'm not feeling well," I just need a minute, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Silence, then softer.
Just come out, okay? My mom can give you something to settle your stomach.
No, I'm fine. Just give me a second. His tone changed. The forced friendliness drained out of his voice, like someone flipping a switch.
Open the door.
I froze.
Open it.
Harder now. Lower.
Come out, Jordan.
This was the voice I somehow always knew was hiding beneath the shy, awkward exterior of the harmless kid everyone thought he was. He tried the handle, found it locked, and suddenly threw his shoulder into it. The wood cracked as he slammed himself against the door. Luckily, Jerry wasn't a big guy. He started to ram the door over and over, panting, snarling words I couldn't even understand, but the door was holding firm for the time being. While he was busy breaking it down, I scrambled into the shower, heart pounding. On the far wall, above the porcelain tiling that lined the inside of the shower, there was a small, frosted-over window. I pushed it open and ripped off the bug screen. I'm not big into fitness, and I've never been able to do a full, unassisted pull-up in my life. But in that moment, something took over. I'm not sure if it was pure adrenaline or some kind of divine intervention. All I know is my muscles exerted more force than I've ever been capable of before. Next thing I knew, I was hauling my entire body upward as I gripped the tiny shower window frame like my life depended on it, because it did. I managed to squeeze myself through the gap. I fell into the wet grass outside just as the bathroom door finally splintered and slammed open behind me. I didn't stop to listen. I didn't breathe. I just ran. As I sprinted across the yard, I glanced back toward the house, and that was when I saw them. Through the big dining room window, my 3 friends lay sprawled on the hardwood floor, unconscious, their faces pale, their limbs limp. Jerry's family members were dragging their bodies away, one by one, toward the hallway that led to the basement. I kept running until I hit my car. I nearly dropped the keys trying to unlock it. When the engine finally roared to life, I peeled off, down the long gravel driveway, expecting at any second to see headlights behind me. They didn't follow me. I didn't go back to my dorm. I drove 3 hours, straight to my parents' house, and locked myself in my childhood bedroom like I was 10 years old again. I didn't sleep. I didn't even move. I just sat there until the sun came up. When I finally returned to campus the next afternoon, something was wedged in the crack between my dorm room door and the wall. A white envelope, handwritten with my full government name on the front. My hands shook as I slowly grabbed it and began tearing it open. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I knew it couldn't have been anything good. Inside the envelope were Polaroids, dozens of them, along with a handwritten letter addressed to me. Examining the photos, I saw my 3 friends laid out on the same huge, beautiful dining table I had been seated at less than 24 hours prior. Their bodies were chopped up, carved open, seasoned, arranged on platters like one of Jerry's mom's intricately crafted Thanksgiving dishes. Some photos showed them being cooked. Others showed the finished dishes, garnished and arranged beautifully, like something out of a magazine. I felt bile rising in my throat and tears coming to my eyes as I stared at the photos, horrified. Unable to tear my eyes away, however, I started reading the note that was addressed to me. We are so grateful you came to our Friendsgiving feast, though we wish you could have stayed for the grand finale. It was a wonderful year, thanks to your friends. They were delicious. You're probably thinking about going to the police for your sake. We sincerely hope you have not already done so. We know who you are. We know your name, where you live, your parents' names, your hometown, your girlfriend, your classes, your schedule. We have connections everywhere. Understand this. Our family's traditions have gone on for a very long time. We are very good at what we do. What happened with you was an oversight, one we will not allow to happen again. Now, despite what you might think, we're reasonable people. We're willing to cut you a deal. As long as you stay quiet, no harm will come to you or those around you. But if you go to the police, you will regret it. Even if you manage to slip away again, your family won't be so lucky. Tradition is important, and we will not let you ruin it. Now I have no idea what to do. I don't know whether they're bluffing or telling the truth. Should I go to the police? Will they know if I do? Can I protect everyone I know and love? Did they put all these questions in my head just to keep me quiet? I don't know, but I feel like this is eating me alive from the inside out. Every day since, I haven't been able to stop checking over my shoulder, wondering if Jerry or someone in his family is watching me from a crowd, or sitting behind me on the train, or standing outside my dorm at night. I haven't slept more than a few hours at a time since it happened. Fear has its own gravity. It drags every thought into the same dark place. The worst part isn't that they killed my friends. It's that deep down, I knew something was wrong from the moment I met him. I felt it in my bones, and I ignored it. I let myself succumb to the social pressure, and my friends are the ones who paid the price. I don't know if I'll survive until next Thanksgiving. But if you're reading this, don't make the same mistake I did. Trust yourself. No amount of friends or social standing is worth your safety or self-respect. I wish I had followed that advice before all of this happened, but I didn't. And now all I can do is wait and hope they don't come back to silence me for good.